People who had no sex education at all and had never ever seen the opposite sex's special parts. How'd you know how sex worked, if you did at all, and which parts were supposed to go where? How did your first time go? Farm kids learned by example and less exceptionally dense. I remember my little sister asking why the bull kept trying to jump over the cows. Same here. There's this ongoing joke in our family about how my cousin found double frogs. When I was little, I saw a frog giving another frog a piggyback ride. An interesting story from history. Marie Antoinette and Louis XVI had a notoriously difficult time conceiving a child. They were married for years before it happened, even though both were seemingly fertile. There are a variety of theories as to why, but one is that they just didn't know what to do. As the story goes, Marie Antoinette's brother finally gave Louis the talk and they were able to conceive. Brother, stop ducking my sister in the ass, THX. Marie Antoinette can have a little anal sex though, as a treat. Eat dat cake. I remember learning from porn that the testicles do not actually go in the vagina. Just glad I got that little tidbit sorted out before my big moment. It's a good thing you didn't watch Nuts into Ass. Mental note for later. Duck him so high I gave gold to the wrong comment, meant to give it to Tato Fluff. It's funnier this way. Agreed, task failed successfully. I had only seen sex on TV. And of course on TV they never show them actually having sex, so I thought people just viciously tore their clothes off and then lay in bed naked. Haha, same. But I had little brothers, so I knew what a penis looks like. Except not when it's on a fully grown man. So I thought that a penis was always very small and soft, and that it mushed up against the outside of the vagina. I never dreamt it actually went in. Until I accidentally saw porn on a public computer at an internet cafe from a previous user. Edit, for those of you wanting to know why I saw my little brother's penises. Haven't you had to change a sibling's diaper before? Or they clearly never seen the little ducker run away from the shower with nothing on. My son did that as a baby, then took a shit right in front of his sister's bedroom door. I have never heard her scream like that before or since. Power move right there. Establishing dominance early. Serious reply. I figured it out while shopping for hose connectors at Lowe's with Dad when I was maybe 10. I knew little more than boys have a penis, girls have a vagina a la kindergarten cop. Male and female pieces. The male end goes into the female end. My inner voice goes, why do they call them male and female? Oh. That makes sense. Are you 11 now? Because that totally happened to me last year while helping a customer. Both the dad, and I got a good laugh out of it. I'm just glad he didn't ask why two males together make a nipple. This was many moons ago, but the mental image is clear as day. How did the boy react in your story? Was he embarrassed, or giggly, or? At first it was an honest question, but as the dad and I looked at each other trying to figure out the best way to explain. The kid goes, oh, I get it now. We laughed, he just got quiet. Dude had to do some serious reflection on the world as he knew it. When I was 16, I was lucky enough to have a girlfriend as inexperienced as I was. All we knew was that we wanted to do naked, sexy stuff together. It took a few nights, but we figured it out. Just be happy you had a few nights to figure it out. If it was my family, I'd only get one try per month. Edit, wow, this blew up real fast. To all those taking this seriously, it was a joke, or suddenly Alabama is correct. Oh, we were super lucky, lol. Those were definitely some staying up until 4 a.m. kind of nights though. Research be like that. Or grade school. I was homeschooled, raised with cattle, and fairly conservative Mormon parents who did not acknowledge sex. Having participated in several artificial insemination procedures by the age of 10, I thought for the longest time that pregnancy happened when an illiterate cowboy brought a teeny baby cow and shoved it up the ass of a mama cow, or when one got married you requested a baby and a cowboy would show up at your door to shove it on up there. Luckily, we got the internet in 1998, and I finally learned that a woman got pregnant when a man with a mustache came on her face. Edit, wow, thanks for the awards all. Now my parents will accept me. I'm glad I've kept scrolling. This is a hidden gem. Bravo. When I gave my first blowjob, I didn't know what coming was or that it was a thing. Eventually I got pretty bored and stopped, so he told me, "You were supposed to go until I finish," and I remember thinking, that's rude, how am I supposed to know when you're finished? He didn't, and I learned what he meant about 6 months later, lol. I didn't know that I had to be wet. It was a bit awkward when I first decided to do it, but we took it nice and slow and he was very understanding until the right day came. Edit, I thought when two people decide to have sex, they what do it. So when I said, "Let's try again," he thought I meant that I was already wet and we tried it. The right day was that both of us were in the mood and ready to go. I am in my 20s, so we had to take it slow on all the first attempts. Spoilers, geez. You mean jizz? You like jazz? We learned in biology how reproductive organs work, but they didn't mention sex. They just spoke about each individually. I learned about sex from porn. I grew up super duper religious. My mom didn't even really explain what my period was. I went to school and they provided information like sex ed and period education, but I never really got it. From the diagrams, I never figured a penis cooled would get hard. So for years I honestly thought that both people would lie on their backs and kinda Jenga their genitals together yoga style. But then I was like 14 and I found out that a penis can go from soft to hard like what the duck. Is it a solid or a liquid? Turns out if you do it right, it's both. Didn't receive any proper sex ed classes at school or any talks from my parents. I just accidentally stumbled upon porn when I was really young. Like in middle school, elementary school, and as I got older. I did research on the female vagina. Mainly just studied the diagrams and learned how everything worked. So you can say I self-taught myself? My first time was still pretty bad, but it could been much worse. Our sex ed in 5th grade and high school was mostly here's all the gross STDs you can get, which answered none of my questions, lol. Like how do you put a kid in sex ed twice, years apart, and still teach them basically nothing? Looked it up myself in med books a family member had, plus I finally got my own computer around that time. Too bad dial-up was slow as shit, haha. My first was also my partner's first, but he was not gentle. I'm just glad I looked it up beforehand so it was less surprising visually, but physically it was pretty painful for me. He ended up being a real piece of shit, but hey, I was a curious 17-year-old who just wanted to know what the big deal was, lol. While you were partying, I studied the female vagina. I grew thinking all humans had penises. Like I was even shown a vagina one time and I thought they had tucked it in SMH edit, grammar. In my country parents don't really tell kids what sex is, so we just had to ducking discover it ourselves. The first time I heard it was when I was in 2nd grade, about 8 years old, and a classmate told me about it as if it was a groundbreaking discovery. After that things just escalated. When we reached the age of 11, puberty fucking smashed into our sexuality, and to this day I wish my parents had told me what sex was, because oh boy do I cringe at the things I did as a teen. Edit, I've already written this in the replies, but since people keep asking for it, I'll write it here. Well, it's not really me being super sexual story, more like the lack of it. We have a female classmate who was really sexual and dirty. She was also probably discovering her sexuality. She was pretty cute and she would always make dirty jokes at everyone, male or female. One time she was stroking a water bottle and told us that she bets it's something we boys do, and I deadass said, "What's that?" I didn't know you could masturbate at that time, I just knew about sex, and everyone looked at me and laughed. And that's how I was known with the nickname Jacolas for a year. Jacol means fap in our dialect and they're basically calling me fapless, and that, friends, is why I have social anxiety. Edit 2, I'm from Philippines. Many people have been asking. If it makes you feel any better, I had a very good sex education and knew how everything worked pretty early. Still did horribly cringy things as a budding teenager. Oh no, we can't escape. In all seriousness though, most of the cringy things I did were because of lack of information. I would like to elaborate, but I would like to keep my pride intact. How about instead you tell us some things that you knew other people did? I am very interested in what absurdities a complete lack of sex education coupled with teenage hormones can produce. Well, one of my classmates ducked a book with hot characters on it, like fucked a book in a library. There were like 4 of us, and we were the only people there, and we thought it was funny and were giggling to ourselves, but it's really cringy to look back to. He just hid it under a table. Luckily he didn't ejaculate and scar the next poor soul who would pick up the book. I once took the 120 Days of Sodom by the Marquis de Sade from my local library, only to find out that numerous pages were stuck together. If you know anything about that book, you know that pages being stuck together is somewhat disturbing. Long story short, That's why I buy books now instead.